migration, integration, audit, administration, support, and training for the best-in-class cloud solutions. We take on the responsibility to get the best terms from vendor for your business based on your business needs and provide the utmost care at each stage of the journey with the solution. We have more than 2,000 customers around the world, 70 plus countries where our customers are operating, and our team is now more than 50 people. Here you can see our strategic partners, which is Google, GitLab, Zendesk, Asana, Okta, HubSpot, Miro, JumpCloud, and Cloudflare. And of course, we have tech team professionals who Google certified that will be your trusted advisor throughout your journey with advanced Google Cloud solutions. And as I mentioned before, we have more than 2,000 customers around the world, and here you can see some familiar logos. That's it for now from my side, and I pass the microphone for our solutions engineer, Yaroslav Kvasnitsa.
Yeah, hi everyone. Nice to meet you here. I'm solutions engineer at CloudFresh, and I help our customers to choose and implement the right tools for their online business processes. Thank you for coming for this webinar. And today I would like to talk about the security concerns in AI and how Gemini by Google resolves them. So here we got three big questions. Why are we here? Because Gemini brings new
Sound
data.
is not coming.
Sorry. Okay. With great power comes great responsibility, and generative AI is no exception here. And it's our responsibility to maintain the security of our working environment. The next question is, what can we actually do about it? And here Google's answer is a security-first approach to usage of Gen AI tools, and not something that you apply at the very end. And the last question we are about to answer is how actually to configure the required security settings. So let's begin with the new data security challenges. I guess we can agree that there is a huge difference between efficiently processed data and efficiently compromised or stolen data. So, and the main concerns that leaders have are the next ones. So
Please
first
check your voice.
I'm sorry. So first concern is the ingestion of sensitive data. And it's obvious that in order to benefit from Gen AI processing power, we will need to provide them with exactly our business-related information, something that we are really working on, and sometimes it's something indeed sensitive. The main question here is what actually happens after we put this information into the tool. The next concern is insufficient security controls. Most of Gen AI tools are far away from our point of control, and with Google Workspace, it's always remained under your security control in a centralized way. And the last but not least is non-compliance with data regulations. Some of the regulations, like legal frameworks, are really hard to achieve and even harder to maintain. And with Gemini, you get the compliance basically right off the box. So here are the main answers that Google gives to this concern. So first of all, your data is your data. You are in control, and you stay compliant. So let's see how actually data security is built in with Google Workspace with Gemini. So in short, your data is your data, and it does not belong to Google and no one else. Google Workspace with Gemini doesn't change this commitment. So existing Google Workspace privacy, security, and compliance protections extend to Google Workspace with Gemini to help customers be protected. So let's take a closer look about this scheme. So Google Workspace with Gemini does not change the Google foundational privacy protections that give you choice and control over your organizational data. So your interaction with Gemini with Google, including the prompts you enter, the generated content, and the subject to benefit from the same security and privacy protection as all of your customer data. Your data is your data, so it's pretty clear. So your data is not used to train Gemini, and it's not used to provide for human review, for quality assurance. It is not resold or used for marketing. Also, your existing Google Workspace protections are automatically applied once you use the Gemini. So Gemini brings the same enterprise-grade security as the rest of Google Workspace, automatically applying your organizational existing controls and data handling practices, such as data protection policies, data loss preventions, rules. So when we generate the response, and it is inserted in Gmail or Google Drive, the same security policies apply. Also, it works with the Notebook LM, which is a separate product that allows you to work with the strict boundaries to your resources to get responses rather to be investigated from your documents, tasks, the audio, and so on, and not generated from scratch. Also, we will cover this product in our separate webinar, so you are welcome to come. So how you remain in control? So Google Workspace with Gemini respects existing data access and security controls in place and only retrieves relevant data that the user has the permission to access. For example, if user doesn't have an access to a document in Google Drive or email in Gmail, Google Workspace with Gemini will not retrieve that document or email to generate a response. Workspace enterprise plans, for example, they provide data protection controls for further protect sensitive data for oversharing risk. You can leverage like build AI classification and data loss prevention capabilities in Google Workspace to help you identify sensitive data, automatically apply classification labels, and enforce information rights management control based on those classification labels. This helps to restrict Google Workspace with Gemini from retrieving really sensitive data for the users under the IRM restrictions. For example, if a user isn't allowed to download, print, or copy files based on those policies, Gemini will not retrieve those files or the content on users' behalf and won't use it in its prompts. In addition, generated output inserted into emails or documents in Drive are automatically evaluated against in-scope data loss prevention policies set by your administrators. Also, the next protection layer is that for the most sensitive data, you can also enable client-side encryption, and this control will prevent Google Workspace with Gemini from being able to access this data at all. So administrator can also turn on client-side encryption by default for a select organizational unit, for example, some financial units like legal departments, HR, and so on. Also, organizations have the ability to decide how to roll out the Google Workspace with Gemini. For example, you can roll out the Gemini for your entire organization and limit access for it for selected group or departments if you have such needs. For example, for gradually training your employees or meeting special regulatory requirements. You can also turn or off access to Gemini app and Notebook LM for specific organizational units or groups, such as user of the legal departments. Also, you have the control regarding the smart features. So smart features give user a bit richer experience, allow them to do everything from Google Workspace with Gemini app to reference Google Drives right from Gmail, automatically adding events such as flights from Gmail to Google Calendar, or complying loyalty cards from their inbox to Google Wallet, and much more. With Google Workspace Enterprise Plan, you will soon have the ability also to turn on off Gemini in specific apps and organization units. For example, organizational will be able to turn on or off Gemini in Gmail for the users in the finance department. The next crucial part is the compliance. So with Google Workspace, with Gemini, and the Gemini app itself, it has a comprehensive set of safety, privacy, and security certification by attaining SOC 1 to 3, all type of ISO, and can also help you meet a HIPAA compliance, for example. This certification provides the peace of mind that data, including personally identifiable financial and medical information submitted to or generated by Google Workspace with Gemini and the Gemini app, will be handled in accordance to internationally recognized security councils and privacy frameworks. For example, the achievement of ISO 42001, the world's first informational standard for artificial intelligence management system, certified that the Google Workspace with Gemini and the Gemini app have been developed, deployed, and maintained responsibly with appropriate ethical consideration, data governance, and transparency. To date, no other generative AI offering for productivity and collaboration has met this level of recognition, showing that Google Workspace with Gemini is the first in the industry ready to support businesses and public sector organizations by benefiting all users. And here you can see the clear picture of huge difference between Gemini and main competitors. So Gemini with Google Workspace and Gemini app have achieved a comprehensive set of this safety, privacy, and security certification, like as we can see all the SOCs and all the ISO. So this certification assures that data, including sensitive information, is handled according to internationally recognized security councils and privacy frameworks. Also, it's worth to mention that Gemini is not only a chatbot, it's also an assistant. And Gemini is designed to be an extension of the user. This is a crucial part to understand. Essentially, Gemini cannot access anything that the user themselves does not have access to. This means that Gemini doesn't create additional overhead in terms of managing access for a separate entity. It operates with the existing permissions and access controls that are already in place for the individual user. This also means that an organization, you need to consider how currently manage your access to compliant information. So ask yourself, is there an oversharing problem within our organization? Are too many files being shared with too few restrictions or safeguards? How do we today ensure that a user only has the appropriate access to the company data? So these are important questions to address and to ensure that Gemini operates efficiently and securely within your environment. And here we can see in practice what are the controls that allows us to achieve this. We have the Gemini app and Workspace with Gemini itself. We can control access and features for each separately. So this all interacts with the data with Google Workspace. Key security measures like DLP and IRM, DLP and context-aware access, DLP and AI classification and client-side encryption play a crucial role in this protection data. So also we have the logging capabilities, especially for the security investigation tool, which allows you to monitor which exact data Gemini accesses in its work. Finally, there are Workspace with Gemini controls and the Gemini app Workspace extension, which are specific settings we can manage. So here are some questions to consider as we look at these controls. Who is allowed to access Gemini? What devices are allowed to access Gemini? What files should not be accessed by Gemini? In what workspace apps should Gemini be enabled? Should the workspace extension for Gemini be enabled? And how can I monitor Gemini data access? So Google provides answers to all of them, and we will dive deeper into each one controls in the following slides. Before that, I would like to share also a new privacy hub with the detailed information about the available admin controls. So by the link in the presentation that we will share after the webinar, you can get familiar with the most crucial settings and see the compliance by your eyes. So now let's see how it's actually configured to stay compliant with exactly your security needs. Let's begin by discussing user access to workspaces Gemini. To manage which users can access Gemini features, you will refer to documentation tiled manage users access to Gemini feature. This documentation will guide you through the process of setting up and controlling user access. So it's important to note that this particular feature for managing user access to workspace with Gemini is available in Enterprise Standard and Enterprise Plus editions. So if your organization uses either of these editions, you will have the ability to manage user access as described here. And if you are not yet, you are welcome to contact us and discuss what else functions in Google Workspace Enterprise you can benefit from. So now let's talk about the user access to Gemini apps itself. To manage this, you'll need to refer to the documentation titled turn access to gemini.google.com on or off. So this documentation also about this. And the great news is that this access control for the Gemini app is available across a wide range of workspace editions. So regardless of which edition you are using, you have the control over who can access the Gemini app. Also, regarding the workspace extension for Gemini, the key question here is, should the workspace extension for Gemini be enabled? And in short, workspace extension for Gemini allows the Gemini standalone bot to easily retrieve and manipulate your data within your Google Workspace. To manage these settings, you need to refer to a title called Turn Workspace Extension in Gemini on or off. So just like the Gemini app access, the availability for controlling the workspace extension for Gemini is broad. This means that across these various editions, you have the flexibility to manage whether the workspace extension for Gemini is active for your users. So now let's address device access to the Gemini app. The question we are focusing on here is what devices are allowed to access Gemini. To manage which devices can manage Gemini, you'll need to refer to the documentation titled Assign Context-Aware Access level to apps. So this feature for mapping devices access Gemini is available across the following edition that you can see on the screen also and in your presentation later. So Gemini can only access content that user has access to. So if a user isn't allowed to download, print, or copy files based on the information rights management, then Gemini can't access those files or their content to use it in prompts. Also, let's focus how client-side encryption impacts Workspace with Gemini. The key takeaway here is that Workspace with Gemini is unable to act on emails and files that are encrypted with customer control keys. So if you if you encrypt your information with all your keys, your own keys, even Google cannot actually retrieve it in any way. So if your organization utilizes client-side encryption, it adds an extra layer of security that Gemini from accessing and processing the encrypted content. This ensures that highly sensitive data protected by client-side encryption remains inaccessible for Gemini. Also, let's talk how can we monitor what Gemini actually accesses in our data. The key point here is with Google Workspace, with Gemini data access logs, they are indeed available in the security investigation tool. This means that you have the ability to audit and monitor how Gemini is interacting with your organizational data. So to learn more about it, you will refer to the documentation title as on the screen. And this capability is widely available across many Google Workspace editions. Also, we have a tool called Google Vault. Then can search and export prompts entered by the users and the responses generated by Gemini. So with this tool, you have an extra possibility for the governments and the transparency of AI usage in your organization. So now let's do a quick demo to just showcase how actually those settings are easy and straightforward to be configured by us. So here we can see the Google Workspace admin panel that you are familiar if you are using Google Workspace. And here we got the generative AI tab, which is separate functionality to control exactly the Gemini set. So here we have a different settings that we can manage. For example, we can turn on or off the user access basically to this tool. Also, we can allow Gemini to access our workspace apps like Google Drive, Gmail, and so on, and also other apps like YouTube or Google Wallet. Also, we could manage the retention of our Gemini conversation history. So you could set it up from 3 to 36 months to be remain in your organization as a history. And also you could manage here the gem sharing. So gems are like pre-made by you chatbots that have some specific set of instructions that they refer to by each time that you contact them. So you, for example, make them to give you data back only in specific format. You set it up into the settings of this gem, and it works like that. Also, they could be shared within your organization, and it also could be managed. So it's up to you. Would you like to allow it or prohibit? The same settings mostly apply to Gemini for Workspace. And here we can also manage the access more gradually. We can, for example, open it and see that here we can manage it also by a product. Okay, it loads a bit slow. So let's see it here. We can see that we could enable or disable it separately by product. So for the calendar, Drive and Docs, Gmail, Google Chat, and Google Meet. Also, it is up to you if you would like to use some alpha Gemini features. So the features that are not present like on official release, but they are already pretty useful. And it's also under your control. Would you like to allow your organization to use it or not? Also, we got basically the service status settings for the notebook LM that allows you to enable or disable this service. Also, regarding the investigation tool. So this tool allows you to retrieve basically any log for any interaction within your organization. Someone sent the email, someone opened the document, someone deleted the documents. All of it is located here. And also here you can see actually how Gemini uses your data. You just enter a simple query that app name contains Gemini, and here you can see all the files that somehow they were referred to in Gemini prompts, they were uploaded into Gemini or interacted in any other way, even created, since you could export some result of Gemini conversation right away into the file or in a sheet. It is also everything mentioned here, and just like that you get the complete understanding what actually Gemini did with your data. Yeah, those are the main settings that we would like to cover in this part. So here I'm passing the word for my colleague Roman, and thank you all for listening. Yeah, just a quick moment. Also, we got the resources. Could we have the next slide, please? Yeah. After the meeting, you will get also the presentation that we are showing today. And in this presentation, you could go look the links that we discussed today about the documentation, about the compliance, about the settings. And also you have the resources page, which contains the main documentational topics regarding these settings. So yeah, now I guess that's it. And here you come, Roman.
Yeah, thank you, Yaroslav. Thank you for the insights. Before we proceed to our Q&A session, I just want to present to you our exclusive offer for webinar attendees. You can scan this QR code and get a free session with our experts to review security and privacy practices for Gemini, so your company can adopt it safely and compliantly. It consists of the 3 steps, which include data confidence, compliance clarity, and action plan. So please scan the QR code if you want to check this out. And now we can proceed to the Q&A session. Here is the QR code for this offer still stands here. And please ask your questions.
Hello.
Hello.
I have a question about possibility to get all data with REST API.
I'm sorry?
Is there any possibility to get all show data about Gemini activity with REST API? Is there any endpoints and so on?
So if you're talking about the security investigation tool, there is no REST API for it, but there is a possibility to implement a pub sub subscription. So you get into the Google Cloud pub sub point, and from it you could monitor them right away.
Mm-hmm. Okay, thanks.
Okay, I also see in the chat we had the question, is Gemini as potent as other AIs like Perplexity? Like potent is like powerful. So
yes, indeed it is. Also, if we are talking about the main purpose of Perplexity is research, Google Gemini has the exact and, due to my experience, even better deep research tool, which basically operates on the Google research indexing power machine, and it does everything the same as good. So it searches the resources and then provides you the report, yeah, just like Perplexity does, and much more.
Okay, thank you very much, Yaroslav. And Next question, will Google guarantee the data security for enterprises? Do you have integration with SOC, NOC systems?
Yeah, Google guarantees the enterprise-grade data security. And which systems can you please repeat?
Sure. Do you have integration with SOC and NOC systems?
We have the compliance with the SOC 1, 2, 3 frameworks, but regarding the integration with third-party systems, we should understand that Gemini, and especially Gemini for Workspace, is a standalone tool that operates within Google Workspace ecosystem, and it is, let's say, closed on it. And if we are talking about the Gemini API, you could get the same level of the security regarding the enterprise compliance, and also the big flexibility to integrate it basically with any system.
Okay, thank you, Yaroslav. Next question was, I want to know how is it better than other AIs and how I can fully automate my work with Gemini. So about this, we're going to talk in our next sessions. We have 5 more modules when we cover all those topics. And the last question, as I see, what about these security implementations when we use free Google Drive Workspace as personal use?
I'm sorry, could you repeat the question, please?
Yeah, sure. What about these security implementations when we use free Google Drive Workspace as personal use?
Yes, so most of the security compliance that we discussed today, they are for the corporate users. So if you are a paid Google Workspace user, then you get all the compliance we've discussed today. So zero chance for your data to be used for the training or to the quality assurance. But if you are using free community products, you could research the Privacy Hub that sometimes in free editions, your data could be used for the training and so on. It is also described into the Privacy Hub that we discussed today.
Okay, thank you, Yaroslav. And the next question was, any benefit for HR department? Yes, they definitely are, and this as well we're going to discuss in our next modules, where we take a more deep dive into it. Does anyone have any more questions?
Yeah, just to sum up about the next modules, it's important to understand that this is only a beginning. Actually, it is a module 0. And here we would like to only cover the security part, since no matter how the powerful tool is, if it's not secure, it's probably not our option. And after we cover the security, we will have 5 more modules then that will cover the exact usage of this tool and how basically any department can benefit out of it.
Yes, thank you, Yaroslav. If there is no further questions, we thank you for joining us, and please join us on this Thursday, September 25, for our module 1, Power of Google Workspace with Gemini.
Thanks a lot, guys. Till
Thank
next
you,
time.
guys.
Thank you very much. See you.